Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hit and Hustle from IrishSportsDaily.com. I'm your host, Greg Flammang, and with me, as always, is Jamie Uyeyama, Mr. Jamie University. It is Thursday, October 30th. We've got the BC preview coming up. Notre Dame is traveling to Chestnut Hill over the weekend, and they're going to take on their rivals. Sometimes on again, off again rivals from Boston College. Not the best football team, but Notre Dame is coming off the bye, so they want to pick up kind of where they left off against USC, and they want to pick up offensively, especially in the passing game. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about some injury updates that Notre Dame released today, and then we'll talk about some players that we think are going to kind of have bigger roles in the second half of the year and what we think we're going to see from those players going forward. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. If you like what you hear, please hit that like button. Please hit subscribe. Please hit the notification bell so whatever it is, we go live. Links to the podcast are in the description below. As always, the show is brought to you by ESQ Clothing, founded by Notre Dame alum Ga Wang. He is Chicago's go-to for the best custom suits, shirts, and sport coats. It's almost the season of gifting, and ESQ is here to help get you, your husband, father, son, nephew, and even that unlikable uncle some style for the holidays. Known for their next-level craftsmanship using the finest fabrics, ESQ has introduced a 100% Pima cotton T-shirt to go along with its award-winning bamboo shirt, available for purchase online. Watch this space, Jamie. The season of gifting from ESQ. Watch this space coming up on Saturday. Now with showrooms both downtown Chicago and in Winnetka. Book your custom fitting at esqclothing.com. and step into confidence with Chicago's finest. Mention ISD at your appointment and receive or use and code ISD at checkout and receive 10% off your entire purchase. That's esqclothing.com. Before we get started, Jamie, I want to congratulate your lovely wife Nicole on the championship that is coming to the Toronto Blue Jays.
Oh, what is this, reverse jinx? Come on, man.
How dare you? I come here in peace, trying to pass my congratulations and salutations to her. I know she's a big Toronto Blue Jays fan. They have disgraced the Dodgers have disgraced themselves in the last two games. 4 runs in the last 29 innings. Listen, I'm no baseball guy, but that's not how you win games. Whether it's in the World Series or whether it's in your local Little League, it's not going to get it done. So, look, I'm sticking the fork in them. They're done. Mookie Betts I might as well send me up there. Andy Pajes, send me up there. They've got like 4 guys who it's like, if you put me up there, I'll do just as well. So, but that is what it is. So look, how dare you besmirch me and accuse me of a reverse jinx? I would never do that. Yeah, Lori says the Dodgers are done. Listen, you can't win the World Series every year is something that I always say. Can't win the World Series every year. Let's do some injury updates. The biggest update is Jaden Greathouse is out again with the thigh injury, with the quad injury, and Devontae Smith is out with his calf injury. I think we said at the time for Devontae Smith, if you're going to re-injure it as close as he did to the original injury that came, I think it was against Texas A&M in the pregame. He injured his calf, and then he got hurt like right away against I think it was Boise State. So, you can't, like Marcus Freeman said, when you aggressively get him back and you hurt it again, that's not a good sign. On Greathouse, you can't stop. This is when they got to be a little bit more specific about what's going on. Sometimes you got to be like, it's got to be player specific with this stuff. You don't need to be specific with everybody, but with someone like Greathouse and the 4 games and just like, what exactly is the injury, right? Like I think we're saying it's a quad. It's got a thigh injury. It's also being reported hamstring. Which
they said it was a quad, though. It's just those.
I understand, but I'm saying like they need to be a little bit. I think they could be a little bit more transparent with it. It's not a huge deal. It just leads to conversation. I think that when he is healthy, he will play. That's what I think, and I think that's the opinion of the staff at Irish Sports Daily. Either way, he's not playing in this game. Not that they need him. right? Boston College is not a good football team. They are bad at the football, and Will Pauling's been doing a great job as well. So that's the situation. All the players that were on concussions, Matty Augustine, Will Black, I think it was Jordan Patelho was also.
Patelho,
yeah, he's off. They're off the injury report, so ostensibly they are going to be fine for the game. Cooper Flammang still listed as questionable. There was one other. Who else is listed as questionable? There was one other. It was Cooper Flammang and
I can't recall, but it was like basically if the gist of it is everyone, like we kind of said, everyone who was listed with a concussion, they were all cleared.
Yeah,
because there was the bye and
right, the bye, right? And they hadn't come back to practice yet. So that's the thing. Marcus Freeman also said this, a little bit of news that should there be another injury inside on the offensive line, it was going to be Chris Tarrick that came in, something we speculated about on Tuesday. Just give us a little bit on Chris Tarrick and what you've kind of heard and what you've seen from him, because I know you have a little bit of some feelings on Chris Tarrick.
Yeah, so Tarrick, I mean, when he first reported, I mean, he was a guy who was originally committed to Wisconsin, for people who don't know, and then Notre Dame flipped him, and he was someone who came in and was big, like very big, like too big. He was a little bit sloppy in year one, and to the point where I was like, oof, I don't know, this guy might have a tough time. And I thought he had huge body transformation. Like he's still big, but he definitely reshaped his body, and he was way better. I mean, significantly. Like I saw a huge development with him into a second year. Obviously, he hurt his shoulder last year, so like he kind of missed, practice time towards the end of the year, and then he missed the spring. But he was back, and I mean, he was in the mix, kind of getting rep. He was with the twos the whole time in camp, and frankly, I think he looks like a guy who like can play. I mean, do I know that he's going to go in there and like do a good job? Like, I have no idea, right? Like, it's obviously we didn't see enough from him to be like what him tested enough to know where he's at. But I don't think like where before, if people thought, oh man, this guy was like a scrub or whatever, like I don't think that's the case at all. And I would compare him a lot too to like, he is a very much like a Trevor Ruland, Pat Coogan, lunch pail type of kid, right? Like he's a guy who's going to get after it. So, yeah. And I know somebody, sorry, I can't remember who asked, but somebody asked about Styles Prescott.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that as well. I'll bring it up and here we go. Jacob Paulus.
Yeah. Thanks, Jacob. Yeah, I don't know what happened with him. Obviously, he's not hurt because he was not listed.
Right.
And I mean, I have to say, like, as would be nice if you said if they made it like a little bit more clear with like the Great House thing and all that. They are so much more forthcoming than all of these other schools when it comes
to injuries. For sure.
They don't have to mention that's a guy who's a backup got a concussion. Like that doesn't happen a lot of the time, right? Like it rarely happens because they don't mention it because they're like, that guy's not going to play anyways. So they don't even do it like a lot of these schools. Like they don't really have a lot of enforcement. We talked about the USC thing where they played a kid who was listed as out, right? And they only got fined $5,000 for it. Like it's a joke, right? So, so they do kind of tell you what it is. Like if he was hurt, he's obviously coming off. He's a guy who missed pretty much all of last year, right? Because of his leg injury. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't really know what happened between now and then to make him like, those other guys, other than just maybe those guys passed him.
Yeah.
Right. And also, I don't think anyone would be surprised at like, Matty Augustine and Will Black based on like what people were saying about him, what I've heard about him, what I saw with them, that those guys are right there. Because to me, like if Emil Wagner leaves after this year, which is a very real possibility, one of those guys, I would say Gerby's Lambert is probably the starting right tackle. But if they wanted to keep Gerby Lambert inside, Will Black or Matty Augustine's probably going to be one of the starting tackles.
Yeah.
That's, it seems very likely. And also too, like those guys have both gotten reps at guard. Those guys aren't out of the question for if it gets down to it, they might get reps at guard, right? Hopefully you don't get to that point where you have to play a true freshman there. But believe me, like when you look at a lot of these teams that Notre Dame's playing down the stretch, a lot of these guys have true freshmen playing that they don't want to play, but they have to. And certainly like Matty Augustine and Will Black are better than a lot of their freshmen.
Yeah. Micah Gilbert is out with his hand injury. They want a redshirt Elijah Burris, which is interesting to me just because if he's good like they think, is he going to be around for a fifth year? I don't know that would happen. I mean, look, maybe Matt Jeffrey is just more ready to play than he is, and I think that matters, right? I mean, if someone is more capable of coming in and giving good reps, then that's totally fair to me. I hope it's not one of these deals where it's like we have a guy who's ready to play, but we want to preserve his red shirt. Like if he's good, then play him because he's not going to be around. He's a wide receiver too. But then he talked about Cam Williams in that context then where they're waiting, they don't want to use a guy like Elijah Burris. So someone like Cam Williams could come in and give them reps. I'd love to see Cam. I think everyone would love to see Cam Williams do something in a game.
Just get a shot.
Yeah, do something in a game, and that would, I think, really boost kind of the confidence level of him, the fan base, and everything. Anything on that you just kind of on the wide receiver position there?
I think with Burris, to me at this point of the season, it totally makes sense to do like the 4-game thing. He's appeared in 1 game, I believe, right? So like it totally makes sense to do the 4-game thing because the other thing is now, if you're in the playoff, like those guys can play as much as possible, right? So if it's
for sure, right.
So really, like you might get 4 games, but you might get a lot more out of them, right? Like if you need it, right? So I think that's kind of changes things. Also, I just think which I think is really good actually, because I think if I was like a parent, I would want my kid to be like protected there. Not in the case of, well, he's probably going to be gone if he's good and all that kind of stuff too. But let's just say, not him, but just any kid goes through the season and they're good and we kind of view it in the same way, but it's like, then they get hurt next year. Right. Yeah. But it's like 5 after 5 games or something like that. And they don't have that red shirt. Like it didn't, the thing with Eli Reardon, I mean, obviously at that time it was a different circumstance and whatever. And they were obviously thinking he was going to go through the whole season. But if you could go back in time, you would do everything you can to have that guy have a 4-game red shirt. And they probably, when they brought him back the next year, kind of midway through the season, they probably should have done the 4-game thing with him then. It would have been beneficial to him. And then you also too, you never know when these guys are going to be like, hey, you know what? It didn't work out at Notre Dame like the way it wanted to. And so that guy might have graduated in 3 years and have 2 years to play somewhere else. Right. So I think you should always kind of like lean towards like doing what's best for that player going forward. Even if like Boubacar, there's a very real possibility that he is not coming back to Notre Dame next year. Like if he keeps going and like he's got like 6.5 sacks right now. It's very real possibility he could have like 11, 12 sacks or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, that could happen. If that happens, there's a good chance like the NFL is going to be there for him if he wants to. So, and then you're like, well, you only got this much of Boubacar. And it's like, you kind of knew that was going to happen, right? You kind of knew that was a possibility. And that's going to be a possibility with a lot of these guys, right? Like who are good. It's like, that's the thing with like Jugasaw, like even before the year, people were already talking about him. Like, well, this is probably going to be his only year. Now, I mean, now, obviously, like the way I look at it now is if he even if he's back at all, or if he doesn't come back at all this year, next year, I would still almost think that he should play 2 more years of college football because the guy just needs reps. Right. Just hasn't played that much football in the last few years. So So I don't know. I mean, it's a tough thing. I get it. I get it. I totally get what you're saying. But I also see it from that other side. And if I was like his dad or someone else's dad, I think like, wow, that's I would want that extra cushion just in case, like just that extra security. And yeah, man, Cam Williams would love to see him. But obviously, you look at like KK Smith come in and he was good when he played. Like
For sure. No. I don't mean this in lieu of KK Smith at all. I
no.
think he's
I know you
absolutely
didn't.
earned
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I just want to be clear about that.
Yeah. No, but it's just like one of those things where it's like, okay, well, because they already have like Greathouse. I mean, has been hurt this whole time. And like, I mean, listen, we've heard a lot of good things about Logan Saldate. And Logan Saldate is like, doesn't get any chances,
Right.
yet. But I mean, he might end up being a big player for Notre Dame next year, for all we know. So it's just one of these things where it's tough, and because there are going to be some guys that are actually like pretty good, and it kind of shows where Notre Dame is. Like maybe when someone's ranked as high as Cam Williams, you want that guy to be like instant impact or like at least in the second year, like contributing, and that hasn't happened. But at this point, it's like, I mean, the guys in front of him are pretty good. So it's just like, but I would love to just get this guy a taste and let's just see.
Yeah. I mean, you could definitely make the case that, well, first of all, they wouldn't do this with Burris if he wasn't on board, the family wasn't on board with someone like him, right? And when I say like him, I mean someone who can play, but it's like, I think from the staff's point of view, it's like whatever reps that Burris is going to get might be better served for someone like Cam Williams, who has already redshirted. And it's like, hey, we need to get him in a game. Because I don't think that they're concerned about Elijah Burris playing in games going forward, right? And when I say playing in games, I mean like 2026, right? I think they know they have a player there, but like, let's see what we have in Cam Williams, right? Like Marcus Freeman talked about today. He is doing better. He is improving kind of on the sidelines, or like behind the scenes, I should say. He's improving behind the scenes, something that we wouldn't know about, but I'm sure they want to see him in a game type situation. And so the snaps that Burris would get are probably, in their view, better, and for the players, better served to go to Cam Williams at this point against the type of opponents that they're going to be playing. Speaking of the type of opponents they're going to be playing, Jamie, Boston College is not a good football team. They have lost 7 straight. They've been frisky in that way. So like, they're not a complete disaster in terms of they're just getting destroyed every single week. Like they were frisky last week, for example. But not a lot on paper and on film that you would look at and think Notre Dame is going to be threatened in this one.
I don't think so. I mean, if people saw like they're not naming a starting quarterback, I mean, it's because they don't really have one.
Yeah,
that. I mean, that's the truth, right? And probably because the guy that they want to play, Grayson James, who played and kind of gave him like everything he had in the Louisville game, he was clearly playing hurt in that game. And I mean, frankly, he's just not very good. I mean, he's a guy who has one of the highest turnover-worthy play percentages out there for powerful quarterbacks. He's just generally inaccurate. Like he's one of the least accurate passers in the country when it comes to just like whether it's adjusted completion percentage or just regular completion percentage. He has problems like hitting like just the short ball. Like that is just one of those things. Like, and that's when someone's like missing those short passes, that it's like they're just not accurate. Like that is just a thing with him. And then obviously Dylan Lonergan's the other kid who's like the Alabama transfer. And I mean, it looked like if you look the beginning of the season, which also just shows how you can get a small sample size and it can just totally not give you any indication of what it is. Like first 2 games, I mean, they play Fordham, throws for 300 something in that game. Play Michigan State, and you're like, well, threw for 300, over 300 again. Then you find out like Michigan State's defense is horrendous. And, basically from that point on, like he was bad. Like he in his first couple games, I think he had, 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The next he had, 1 touchdown, 4 picks. Like it's just like that's just the next set of games before he lost his starting job. And they were just bad. Like they weren't competitive. And they should have been better. Like they should have been better, but I really just don't think they don't have like a real quarterback that you could say like, hey, this is your guy now and also for the future. They tried to play the freshman kid against Clemson and it was a disaster. Like he just wasn't ready. Like, and also too, like it's tough. Even though Clemson's not good, they still have dudes on the team. And when you don't have guys to match their guys, it's going to look bad.
Right.
And yeah, I'll say that you look at like what happened against them against Pitt, because Pitt was just like an absolute just drubbing. They destroyed them. And Clemson beat them bad too, but they've been competitive in the last couple games. I mean, one of them was against UConn, and like, let's face it, BC, you can't lose to UConn. Like that's like, if there's one thing you can do is like, you're in the New England area, you got to be UConn, right? Like you can't lose to UConn. And they're 1-7. They're 104th in F plus. They're literally or 102nd in F plus. They're literally like the worst rated Power 4 team in combined FEI and SP plus rating. And it's like bad on offense. Last 4 games, average 4.4 yards per play. Bad on defense, giving up like 492 yards in the last 4 games, like average. They stink. Like they don't have enough players. Like the thing is like if you look at, they went 7-6 last year, but you could just tell. Like I knew when I was doing like the summer previews and looking at the roster, I was like, oh no, like this is gonna be bad. Like they lost a bunch of guys that were like pretty good, and they can't add anybody. Like they can't add anyone who wants money in the portal. So it was all like, let's take a shot with this D2 kid. He's got some traits. And it's like, some of those guys might actually be okay, but they're like young guys that they took. So it's like, he's all conference and, playing at Merrimack, but it's a big jump. And maybe 2 years from now, that guy will be good, but he's not Jared Verse, like how Jared Verse came in for Florida State and ripped it up. They just don't have enough of those guys. And if you look at their roster, they have some good players. Like Jeremiah Franklin, tight end, is pretty good. Kalen Chudzinski, who's, Rob Chudzinski's son, who's like a former NFL head coach and offensive coordinator. Like he's good. That's a pair of good tight ends. Lewis Bond is like a pretty solid, receiver. Reed Harris, 6'5", 222. He's like a big target, deep guy. He can get vertical. He can win jump balls. They have like 2 guys for sure starting up front that are going to play in the NFL on their offensive line. That's more than quite a few of these ACC teams that Notre Dame plays regularly. The problem is the other 3 guys aren't very good, and you can't just put 2 guys out there and you have like 3 other guys that aren't of that level. And one of the guys has been hurt, right? Like their left tackle, who's projected like potential first round pick, Jude Bowery, he's been hurt, right? Like he's been playing hurt most of the season. So it's just tough. And then up front they have like they're playing freshmen there, like true freshmen, and these guys aren't like, these are guys who were like 277 pounds, defensive tackle. They're not ready to play Power 4 football yet. Maybe 2-3 years from now, those guys are going to be pretty good, but they're not ready yet. And then they got DBs. Anytime you're playing multiple freshman DBs, they have like 3 true freshman DBs that play like quite a bit, and they've had to because of injuries. But just when that happens, it's a lot like you think back to 2016 for Notre Dame, where obviously some of those guys like Julian Love ended up being a pretty good player, but it was a lot for him to even play as much as he did as a freshman. But you had other guys like Dante Vaughn and Troy Pride were not ready, and they ended up being pretty like good. Like Pride obviously ended up being really good. But you also had, safeties that had no business playing
Yeah.
that year.
I mean,
Right?
think of it like if Notre Dame, right? I think everybody likes, Dallas Golden, obviously, Mark Zachary, Creed Thomas, but like they don't have three guys where it's like, yeah, they're going to play a caliber opponent like Notre Dame on offense, and like that's going to be a good matchup. And that's at Notre Dame. So, like, think about it. For BC to hit on three freshmen who can compete against Notre Dame, like that'd be like an all-timer class, right? So just from the logic standpoint and just looking at the odds of something like that happening they're just not very good. I mean,
Yeah. It's just one of these games too. Like, I mean, obviously we're not going to go too deep into it. I mean, you say they were competitive with Louisville in that game, and Louisville's a pretty good team. And it was a game, but they also at the same time they gave up over 300 yards rushing to them, and they the reason that they were competitive in the game is because Louisville turned the ball over in that game. And BC turned the ball over too, but that's the thing. It's like if Notre Dame doesn't turn the ball over, they'll kill them. It's gonna look exactly like it did against like Pitt and all that. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Because like you said with before when we were talking about it, the weather could play a factor, and that might have an impact. But as long as Notre Dame wants to, like, if they're taking this seriously and they come out, they should come in and take care of business and like be up early and have it pretty easy. And so
yeah. Speaking of the weather, friend of the show, Dave Caulfield, ABC 57 weatherman, sent me a message throughout the week. Right, we're monitoring the weathers, and it's going to be windy. It should be. It's going to be about mid 50s, so it'll be a little bit chilly, but it's going to be a little windy. Right, gusts. It was looking like 30-mile-an-hour gusts. Now it's more like 25-mile-an-hour gusts. Dave did point out it's a north-south type stadium. So any westerly wind is going to wreak havoc on Notre Dame. It's interesting. Like, obviously Notre Dame likes to push the ball and that sort of thing, and that can mess with their passing game. Like BC likes to throw the ball too. Like, so it's probably a bigger deal for them because they can't just hand the ball to Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love and let them go do things. So when you're a good, like, when you're a good team, when you're a bad team, any sort of weather variable is not going to be to your benefit, because you don't have the ability to kind of adjust, right? So that's something to keep in mind for this football game. We talked a little bit about BC's ability to kind of play offense and throw the ball. The running game, don't have a strong running game. Someone that you've been flagging is Elijah Hughes, and why he's going to be kind of a top player for Notre Dame going forward. I was looking at the NC State tape the last couple of nights, Jamie, just to kind of get a refresher on that stuff. And it was a bye week, and got to find something to do. Man, he's really good. I
very good.
I mean, he's really flashing. I mean, in a way, because it's not just in him, and honestly, Jared Dawson too. And I'll tell you what about Jared Dawson is that I appreciate. We're looking at the game against NC State. It's 36-7, right? It's the last play on defense for Notre Dame. And again, it's a blowout. Jared Dawson is like splitting a double team and getting pressure on the quarterback. It leads to an interception for Carson Hobbs. It's like a nothing play, but this guy's killing himself to beat a double team in a 29-point game. And he's a transfer 5th-year guy. Like, he doesn't need to do that. I just think I really appreciate that about him. I really appreciate that about Elijah Hughes. Like, the fact that they continue to value the types of snaps that they're getting and putting quality stuff on tape. I really appreciate it from those guys. And they've obviously been doing it in situations that matter to specifically Elijah Hughes. What have you seen from him? And then, kind of what you project going forward for Elijah Hughes after the bye week.
Man, I've been so impressed with him, and I feel so much better about when I watched him at USC, and I know a lot of people were like, why are they taking this guy? Like this,
he doesn't even start, right?
Doesn't
like he doesn't get regular
like
minutes.
That. I'm like, I just watched the film of him, and I watched him against Notre Dame, and I was like, this guy's pretty good. Like he was got a chance to be pretty good, and he's gotten better, and he's obviously gotten bigger and stronger, and that is something too. But you can see, like, technique wise, first of all, he's got just a nonstop motor. Guy plays hard all the time. And the way that I would look at it too is like he's really similar to Howard Cross in a lot of ways, because he's got like pretty heavy hands, quick hands, good quickness, good lateral quickness. He's just bigger than him. He's just a bigger version of Howard Cross, really. And obviously Cross played at like such a high level that, that's a lot to like live up to, but just like he's playing pretty close to that right now. Like, I think he's a guy who has earned the chance to play more. And, some of it obviously came from opportunity where like Dawson was hurt against Purdue, and then Heinisch was hurt against Arkansas. Rubio got hurt. But when all those guys were healthy against NC State, like you said, Onye was the odd man out in that game. Like Hughes was the guy who was playing more than him in that game. He leads all of Notre Dame's defensive tackles and stops, tackles that result in negative EPA. Even though he's played the least amount of snaps out of the 5 defensive tackles who have been in the rotation. He's the highest run stop percentage, 17% out of any power forward defensive tackle. Any. Like, based on his number of snaps, obviously.
Yeah.
He hasn't played as much as other guys, but like, still, for his number of snaps, he's getting maximum production out of that. He's got a 20% win rate against true pass sets. That's better than Riley Mills last year. And I know it's a smaller sample size because he hasn't rushed as much, but Riley Mills is 18.9%, which was like a good number. That's a very good number for a defensive tackle. The year before, Riley Mills was like 24%, which was like top 5, right? Like Hughes is like, top 20 interior pass rusher right now in terms of that number, because that's the number to look at, because that's when like guys are rushing when it's like, it's not a play action, it's not a screen, it's not this. It's like when you actually get a chance to rush the passer. I know you tweeted out the, that little swim move he had. And I thought, like, when I was watching the USC game too, it was like, well, he beat the guy with the swim move. Then that guy's like, okay, I know you're going to do the swim move. And then he countered it with another one later on where he won. And I was like, when you just see guys like go through that and it's like, it works for them quick, they can do that. You're like, man, that is like really like, I don't want to call it high level stuff because but it's like necessary stuff to be like a guy who can be an impact guy rushing the passer. So I just think, like, if you're looking at it, the way he plays the run, especially too, I think he's playing at a starting level right now for Notre Dame. And really him and Jared Dawson, those were huge pickups for Notre Dame. Like, both of those guys have hit. And I know it hasn't gone as good because obviously Smith hasn't been available and Stroman isn't a starter, right? Like, I think he's good as like a third safety. That's fine. But he's more of like Rod Hurd than a guy who's like became like a starter, right? And really too, I would say Rod Hurd is just a little bit more versatility added than Stroman. But I think if you look at like when that doesn't happen, you didn't really hit as much as you maybe wanted to in the secondary, but you hit really good with those defensive tackles, especially now that Rubio, has been out, and then Heinisch, he's been better as the season's gone along, and he's been pretty good rushing the passer, but he's not, I still don't think he's like an every down, like run good, high level run defender. they've desperately needed those guys, and they've both been good. And I think Hughes really, like, you hate to look at it just going forward too, but he has a really chance to be like a guy who takes off in this back end of the season. And then next year, he's in line to be a very key piece for Notre Dame's defense.
Yeah, you mentioned the part about in the running game about, playmaking. And I think, sometimes you can make a play on the D line where it's like, hey, they slanted into a call and the guy wins that way, where it's like you slanted and you were able to kind of split the guard in the center, or the guard in the tackle, whoever it might be. And, they run outside zone and you get in the backfield and you make a play. Whereas Elijah Hughes, and I put it on Twitter and then you put it on Twitter as well, where he does the punch and the rip, right? Where he gets through and they're down blocking. So sometimes you look at the way it's blocked and the type of run that they put on, and it's like, well, that's got to be the linebackers, right? The linebackers have to make this play because, like, you're getting down blocked. You're basically over the guard and they're down blocking with the center. You're going to lose, right? Just because of the leverage that they have, like, you're going to lose that. He wins across face of the center and makes a play for a run stop with like no gain or maybe 1 yard. He's not supposed to make that play. They have schemed him out of that play. And, you see it you see it on the sled all the time. Like whenever we post these videos of the guys when we go to practices and they show the pictures of the sled, you punch the sled and then you shed, right? Punch and shed. He did it in a game, right? And so he put it to practice, or he put
exactly how it's supposed to look.
Exactly how it's supposed to look. And
that's why I said, like, it's clinic. That is a clinic. You show that clip when if Al Washington's speaking at a clinic and he's talking about how to take that on and how to shed, that is the clip he's going to use. That specific clip.
Yeah.
Like, and, you might say, well, it's one play. A lot of plays look like that for him. So I've been impressed. I've been really, really impressed. I'm a D-line guy. So obviously I'm in the bag for the D-line guys, but like, when guys are really good, it gets me excited. And I think he's been really good and has a chance to be even better. I'm excited. He is definitely one of the guys that in these next 5 games and like hopefully beyond, if Notre Dame makes the playoff, like he's a guy to watch out for. Cause I really think that if we're talking about like, oh, remember when like X Watts really took off in that back end of thing. I'm not saying he's going to be All-American, but you know what I mean? Like in the back half of the season, a guy really, really takes off. And you're like, oh, wow, this is really something. He's right near the top of the list for me.
Yeah. And again, like I said, when you make a play, when you're kind of schemed out of it, like that's a big deal in terms of just like the type of player that you can be. And we like it, right? Like a little like diamond in the rough kind of thing. And you can, if you want a diamond in the rough for the gift idea that you can give for, your corporate event, your clients, maybe people in your life that you care about, you want to give them a little something extra, a little something that people don't expect, right? You can go with Goods Candies. I want to talk to you about Goods Candies. It's a small Indiana-based chocolate company with recipes going back nearly 100 years. They are a small batch producer of decadent confections ranging from toffee to cream centers to their latest offering, peanut butter bombs. And sometimes you go to See's Candy, you don't know what you're getting in the center, and it's like, sometimes you get a good batch and sometimes you get a bad batch, and then there's chocolates just sitting there who no one's eating because they don't really want what's inside of those. With Goods Candies, they want you to know what you're getting. Its cream centers each have a unique design, so you always know what's waiting inside. All varieties are offered in milk and dark chocolate. For the business listeners, Goods Candies offers customized chocolate bar gift boxes. These aren't customized wrappers like you get at the bank. Customized chocolate bars that can include your logo or a message. These make the ideal client gift, and Goods Candies can handle all shipping for you. I know ESQ, Ga Wang was was inquiring about this, Jamie. He was thinking about this, so hopefully he reached out to Steve. Their website. Yes, Jamie.
Oh no, I'll let you finish.
Oh, okay. The
I have
website
chocolate commentary that I want to get your thoughts on.
Okay. Their website is www.goodscandies.com. Viewers can save 20% through the end of the year with the promo code ISD. Place your order online or reach out to goodscandies@goodscandies.com with questions. Yes, Jamie.
What a weird thing what a weird thing to just randomly, no one's talking about Jaden Greathouse and someone's just like, I bet he's going to transfer. It's just very old man yelling at cloud, just the middle of the thing to just bring it up. We weren't even talking about him right now. We're talking about chocolate. About the thing where you don't know what chocolate. I'm not a big the fruit cream filling is just disgusting to me. It is not.
There's like a chocolate, like an orange. There's like orange that comes in it.
Yes,
and
no.
it's like, what am I doing?
Why is this here? Who likes this? Who likes this?
And no one wants it. Like everyone, someone takes a bite, nah, you put it back, and then it just sits there, half eaten. No one wants that, right? So you got to choose something that is like, what it is, and every time you take a bite, you know what you're getting. Yeah, it's going to be good. Go with Goods
Candies. Like Rajon said, more caramel,
more cream, like the white chocolate, white chocolate cream inside.
Seems pretty easy.
Let's go. So we mentioned at the top, Devontae Smith is out. He's going to be out for this game.
He's questionable.
Well, questionable, but like.
Expect him to probably.
I mean, Marcus Freeman spoke about him like he wasn't going to play, right?
Yeah,
like he was like,
we're not going to rush him.
We want to be careful and this, that, and the other. We were having a debate. I think it was on the bye week on the mailbag show. We have gotten to the point where it might just be better to have Dallas Golden take these reps. You've passed the hard teams on the schedule, and obviously Pitt can throw, right? But like. USC could throw. Like, you've gotten through the toughest part in terms of passing game. In my opinion, you continue to develop him and you continue to get him these reps. I think he needs to be the guy at nickel going forward. Health, barring health, obviously. I'm very encouraged by Dallas Golden right now, and so I just want to kind of get your kind of thought on this.
Yeah, and I think kind of going back to stuff we were talking about Christian Gray last episode too, like Mark Zachary, want to see him get some reps here.
He was good in the Arkansas game. We liked him. I liked him. I thought he had a very good performance. So I second this.
Yeah. I just think too, like, it's just one of these things, especially like, it's funny because we just said, oh, well, they're really forthcoming. They're more forthcoming than other. They didn't mention that Christian Gray's on the injury report, and he's playing. So there's that. But I don't know. I just think it's just like we've talked about it, him wearing down. Like, you just have to be in a position. I don't think you can go through a game and be like, well, you hope that Christian Gray comes up with a pick here in some of these games. If they're put in that position again, where it's like, oh no, he's getting cooked in this thing, and he's hurt. He's getting cooked because he's hurt. Well, get that other guy ready. Like, it's as much as you can. So I really want to see Mark Zachary. I mean, I was really impressed with Dallas Golden in the USC game. Obviously they didn't give him the Makai Lemon assignment. That would have been extremely tough for him to do, but I thought he handled himself really well in that game. And I do want to see just more and more of him. So, I'm all for that. And like, I think right now at this point with Devontae Smith, anything you kind of get out of it, I don't want to quite put it in the, the Jagasaw category where it's like, who knows what the heck's with Jagasaw and if ever this season. But right now, if Devontae Smith comes back and it's like, oh, he's helping the team, I think you're like, well, that's a win.
Yeah.
At this point, at this point.
Yeah, in my opinion, like, someone said 50-50. Let me get it. I don't want 50-50. I want it like 70-30, or like 65-35 or whatever. I don't want him splitting reps. I want him getting all the reps. And I do think
if
too,
he's clearly better, then that's the thing. But we haven't seen enough to say that he's clearly better.
Right. And you want to develop this. You want to develop Golden.
Yeah.
And here's the other, because I think they want to go with him. Like I honestly think they want him to be the nickel for the next 2-3 years. That's the other part of this, because he has the footwork for it. He has kind of the play style for it. So like he can do it. I truly believe he's going to be in the slot for Notre Dame. I think the difference between him and like Leonard Moore and Ben Morrison is physically he is not strong enough right now to be like at the level of like Leonard Moore and Ben Morrison. Whereas like those guys, their play strength was a lot better. Dallas Golden gets, I don't want to say he gets bullied because I think that's the wrong word for it. He gets knocked off balance when he's trying to get in phase too often. And that gets him in a little bit of trouble where he starts to be grabby. Whereas like Moore and Morrison did not get knocked off balance that way when they were hand-to-hand physical getting in phase with. And that's, I think to me, that is the clear difference between those guys and where they were and where Dallas Golden is now. Like this offseason is going to be huge for him. He needs to get stronger.
Yeah.
But like the physical ability, his ability to like change direction without doing a speed turn when he can cross over, like that is, I think that's honestly better than I've seen from like, well, I think I don't want to say better. I think it's on par with like Moore and Morrison. Like I think his footwork is really good. And that was something that I was unsure about coming in. So he's kind of answered that question for me. He just needs to get stronger. I don't think he's strong enough. That's kind of where I'm at with Dallas Golden.
Well, he also came in the summer too, right? So he wasn't like there. I mean, in saying that Morrison and Moore came in the summer, but I thought that was one of the biggest things with Morrison. Even though he had those picks as a freshman, you could see the stronger version of him was better.
Yeah.
Right. When he got that the next year, I thought he made a pretty big jump, that was when he was like tussling with like Marvin Harrison Jr. and all that too. Right. So you could see that. I think that's a good call on your part. That I think that is probably the biggest thing that's missing. And really too, if like that is 100% with Zachary, right? Because, he's 175 pounds, like he's got to get bigger and stronger. And people don't think about that. Which I think is a really good thing that you brought it up, because people don't think about that. They only think about like, hey, is this guy fast enough? Can he cover? Can he mirror? Like, like you said, is he fluid? Can he do all these kind of things? And it's like, well, it's because you think about the linemen and how there's like a difference between like man strength and how that is really a thing for, playing like offensive line or defensive line. I mean, it's the same thing outside too, because you're just or like when you look at like basketball, when guys are like rookies in the NBA compared to like when they're 3 years down the line, it's like you're 19 years old, you're going against a grown man. Like, you're going to play some grown men receivers, right? So, and you got to be able to handle that.
Yeah. You noted in Six Thoughts on a Thursday, and you put up some nice clips on Twitter about Notre Dame's man coverage with their linebackers and how that's kind of changed. I think it's also kind of goes in line with they're playing a lot more man period. But the linebackers are playing a lot more man coverage, and we've seen them kind of elevate their game from a coverage standpoint. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I thought that was really, it was good that this week that Max Bulla was talking to the media too, because I was kind of like all fit in with that. But, in the first 3 games, because everybody thinks about man coverage and they're just thinking about the corners and they're thinking about safeties. They're not really thinking about the linebackers. But that was like a big difference from last year, because Notre Dame was like close to 60%, like for linebackers playing man coverage last year. And so in the first 3 games, 29.2% for Bowen, 20. These are all via PFF, by the way.
Right.
Jaden Osbury, 27%. KVA, 31%. Snead, 22.2%. Like, that's a big change from, 30, 40% difference from last year. Then the next 4 games, 46.7% for Bowen. Osbury, 50%. KVA, 56.7%. Snead, 56.3%. And you can see, like, them play, how they've played, like, those plays, like the screen plays against USC, but not just USC, but like you saw that because they tried to get the same thing they tried to get happen to them against NC State the week before, and it was the same kind of thing where they were playing that and taking that aggressive angle, to that because they're playing man, and so in order to block that guy, you have to block that guy in the back. If you're going to do it, because that guy isn't used to it, because he's used to thinking, well, this guy's dropping off and he's going to react to it and he's going to be able to just kind of like shield that person. All of a sudden, that guy's got a ton of room. And that's how they create big plays to their screen game. But when you're playing man and you're being aggressive with it, you can take that away. And Notre Dame has the athletes that can like Bowen can go and attack that running back in the flat and still run with him on a wheel. Like, there's not a lot of teams that have linebackers who can do that, but Notre Dame has those guys, so they should do that. And that part of it, also, those guys are like way more activated rushing the passer. Like, that is another thing that has really stood out, right? Like, first 3 games, KVA 33.8% rushing the passer on pass plays when he's in the game. Snead, 27.9%. Bowen, 17.6%. Osbury, 18.8%. Last 4 games, 43.4 for KVA, 33.3 for Snead. Bowen, 23.6. Osbury, 26.7. So it might not seem like a lot, but it's basically just like 1 or 2 more blitzes a game for all those guys. And then obviously, and more so for guys like Snead and KVA, which, guess what? That's one of those things those guys are the best at. You want those guys to be in attack mode. That's what made those guys good. So in a way, it's a good thing. You're like, wow, you can tell that has been a big change. And I believe that is like one of the reasons why that they've played such better and you've seen better results in the last 4 games. But also, it's kind of infuriating because you're like, come on, man. Chris Ash, like, this was right there for you.
It was sitting there. And we tried to kind of illustrate it, a bunch, and it's just like they're being asked to play a certain kind of way, and it just wasn't fitting for those players. And it's just unfortunate, but we knew there were good players in there. I think Jalen Snead's playing as well. So yeah, he really pops. But Jalen Snead really pops, like kind of every rep that he takes. He's playing fast. He's playing violent. Like Marcus Freeman likes to say, he's playing with velocity. Just really confident in everything that he's doing. So that's just like it's just great to see that. Like all 4 of them, like Vamos Oscar says, Bowen's having a great season, can cover and play really hit. I think all of them, I think all of them are really starting to kind of ascend with the way they're being asked to play. And this is around the time last year where Osbury's play kind of tailed off. Be interesting to see if he can keep that up. He had the injury last year to his elbow, which was obviously, we talked a bunch about it in the offseason. Madden Faramo's probably going to get a lot more snaps now too. So they found that 5-player rotation again, that was so beneficial to them last year, which is obviously really good. And it gets your best players on the field, and you can kind of utilize everything that you've got at that position. So it's good, and it's a good opportunity for them to all kind of work together. You can have an opportunity to work together with a bunch of Notre Dame fans doing something that you love to do and a hobby that you love to do with pickleball. H2 Pickleball, founded by Notre Dame alum Todd Hill. He's teaming with fellow alums Jack Gibbs and Will Howes, who's a top 10 pickleball pro, to bring fans the Notre Dame Pickleball Crew League. Besides football, what better way to connect and engage Notre Dame fans than through pickleball? Membership is free. Members will have access to special pickleball events and discounts. The next event will be a Will Howell's Pickleball Clinic on the Friday before the Syracuse game. Members can also get discounted tickets to the Syracuse game. Contact Todd at h2pickleball.com or call him at 574-339-5195 to join the league. Be sure to visit the H2 Pickleball facility in Mishawaka when you are in town. H2 Pickleball is located at 55801 Evergreen Plaza Drive in Mishawaka, Indiana. All right, Jamie, let's do some predictions here.
Yeah, I just think that BC, I mean, I commend them really for, not quitting, especially you lose 7 games in a row. Yeah, it's hard not to quit. And I really imagine too, like there has to be part of it is like you're giving young guys an opportunity. So yeah, of course those guys aren't going to quit. They're like relishing the opportunity. But I wonder how many guys are like, oh man, I can't be playing in a program. We're going to go like 2-10 or whatever they're going to go. Right. Like, so it's rough. They're going to get killed. It's not going to be close. Like, I just think Notre Dame's going to come out, take care of business. Even, there is the odd chance that it looks like a little bit like, not for like the full half of the Miami Stanford game where you're like, oh, it's tied at half, but like maybe like the first quarter there, if like a couple things go their way or whatever. But I just don't see them doing much against Notre Dame. I just think Notre Dame's going to come out of the bye. Traditionally, Marcus Freeman has them really ready out the bye. They usually like fix a lot of stuff that they have like mid-season that they're like doing the self-scouting stuff. They'll come out good, want to make a statement after it. So I'm going to say Notre Dame 59, BC 6.
Oof. That's a bludgeoning. Before I get into mine, Jacob Paulus, is that a Sentinel from X-Men behind you?
It is. Hold on. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can.
So that's from an artist, Mike Del Mundo. He's a comic book artist. He's from Toronto, but he's does a lot of like Marvel stuff, and he does like he's incredible artist, and he does like a lot of like hip hop stuff too. My friend bought me this. It's I'll show it off in another thing earlier. I'm good because I'm gonna eventually have it put up behind my head. But it's a Sentinel, like it's the head of a Sentinel, and Wolverine sitting there in a like basically like a chair, just chilling in the Sentinel. It's a pretty cool thing.
Good stuff. We'll show it off next time. I'm gonna give some credence to the bye. Like you said, maybe it'll start off a little bit. Maybe it'll start off a little bit slow, right? Maybe some inefficiencies there. People will be frustrated or whatever. I think it'll be 45-10. I will say 5 touchdown victory. I think they'll be fine. I think running the ball. The way it gets to the point total you said, like maybe there's some pick sixes or something, or some fumbles or some special team stuff that can happen. But I'll say 45-10 in this game. Just got to get through it. You want to get through it healthy, right? I think that's the most important thing for Notre Dame kind of in these games. They are getting to the point where it's like injuries they're starting to add up, and so you got to be careful about that stuff. But yeah, I think it's a good football team. Notre Dame specifically. I think Notre Dame's a good football team, and I think they've been playing really well. And I think Marcus Freeman kind of has them primed to kind of make a run here. They've got some opponents that aren't as good, and I think they're gonna get after it. So Rajon says Price is taking opening kick the distance. That'll be interesting if they give him a chance. So, all right, that's going to do it for our show today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you like what you heard, hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. So it is. We are going live. We'll be back on Saturday after the game for our instant reaction show. And then on Sunday, I'll be doing my post-game morning after recap. So have a good weekend. Have a good rest of your day. Enjoy the game on Saturday. We will talk to you afterwards. Keep hitting and hustling.